Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got another episode of r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, after each post, I'll be giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And of course, if you disagree with me, go right ahead. I always enjoy reading different points of view, as long as they're respectful, of course. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Am I the asshole for calling my sister cruel for her tattoo idea? Sis is 28, I'm 26 male. My sis N has always had a strained relationship with our parents, especially my mom. I am clearly not privy to the reasons because things are fine with me and my parents. When N went to college, she met her creative writing professor as a freshman and they got close immediately. They would do a lot together and work closely on a few different writing projects. N never specifically said this, but it was obvious to anyone who saw them interact that they had a substitute mother/daughter type relationship, which hurt my mom a lot to see. I always thought she'd grow out of it or that the professor would move on, but 10 years later, they were still very close. About a month ago, the professor died unexpectedly and it devastated N. She was really depressed over the holidays, which of course was all in front of my mom and was a difficult reminder that N loved the professor as a mother way more than she ever loved my mom as a mother. She still talks to my parents and stuff, and they don't fight or anything, but N is very distant and doesn't tell them anything about her life beyond the bare minimum. My mom tried to comfort N, but N was doing her distant thing and didn't want comfort. Something unfortunate that happened to N is that when she got the call that she died, she was brewing tea and in the shock of the news, she spilled boiling water on her arm, which burned her kinda badly on her wrist. I think the burn was like on the borderline of 2nd and 3rd degree, and definitely still looked pretty rough during the holidays. N said it was especially hard because in addition to the physical pain, every time she looks at it, she is reminded to the moment she found out the professor died, which I totally get. I was on FaceTime with N, and she said she talked to her tattoo artist friend who said that the burn should be able to heal well enough to get a tattoo over it, and then excitedly told me about her idea, which is a type of flower that the professor gave her a bouquet of for her undergraduation. My mom was so embarrassed that day because she didn't get N flowers, but the professor did, and N was parading them around so happy, and it was a reminder of their connection. I guess N and the professor exchanged these flowers for every social occasion like birthdays, etc. So now she wants to get a decent-sized tattoo in a highly visible spot of something that will remind everyone of the professor. I told N that this seemed really cruel to my mom, who already feels cast aside and like she's in exile from N. And that's without the constant permanent reminder. N kind of scoffed and said, "I can't believe you think you have the right to tell me not to do this." Called me an ass and hung up and is still not talking to me except for a very brief text saying congrats for a promotion I just got. My parents aren't commenting. My dad said I should have kept quiet even though he agrees, and my mom made no comment but seemed grateful I stood up for her. I feel like I was just being protective of my mom, but am I the asshole? See, the key to this entire interaction is OP's admittance that they are unaware and not privy to reasons why they are no longer close. From the information we have from a biased narrator, the sister had a relationship and a connection with a professor who basically acted as a surrogate mother. We can assume by how close they were that that professor was in a position in her life where she was a very close and important figure, to the point where they were kind of beyond professor and student. Hell, it sounds like the professor was there for her in ways the mother was never. And it sounds like that she wants to honor that relationship that she had with that professor by getting a tattoo of a very important and significant type of flower that they used to exchange with each other during special events. If it makes your mom upset that there's a reminder that someone was in your sister's life that was more like a mother to them, you might want to ask yourself the question of, how come this person was more of a mother to my sister than her own mother? I'm sure there is a story that a lot of us are left out on that probably explains a lot of this. Am I the asshole? I yelled at my daughter for not honoring her mother. Hello, I am 56 female and have 5 kids. 31 male, 30 male, 28 male, 26 male, and 24 female. I will call my daughter Savannah. She recently got engaged to her boyfriend, Phil. In my family, we honor our mothers by giving them grandchildren, so their work wasn't for nothing. I honored my mama by having kids, and now it's her turn to do the same for me. I talked to Savannah about it and she dropped a bombshell on me that she doesn't want to have kids. I was shocked by this and asked why. She said she wanted to further her career and live her life instead of raising kids. I tried to convince her by telling her all about how kids made my life worth living. I enjoyed my days raising them and don't understand why she wouldn't feel the same once she has her own. She shut me down and said that she knows she wouldn't enjoy it. I started crying because she refused to see my side and why I need her to have grandkids. She said that her brothers, 31 male and 28 male, have kids, but I told her it's not the same as your daughter having kids. I was going to help her through her pregnancy, hold her baby showers, and support her in the birth. Yet she tore all of this away from me like that. I told her that I didn't put in all the hard work raising her so she could not give me grandkids, essentially making all that hard work for nothing. I yelled that she isn't honoring her mother this way, and she was really upset. She left and won't speak to me now. Am I the asshole? I just want to be honored by my daughter, but she took that from me. So my first observation here is that she had 4 sons and then 1 daughter, and then stopped right after she had the daughter. I hope to God this is rage bait because she admits right here the only reason she had a daughter was so that way she could have this experience. The only reason why her daughter's alive is so she could be honored by her daughter having a child. What about her sons? Her daughter brings up a wonderful point. She already has grandchildren. Imagine finding out that your mother only loves you for the potential of her essentially walking you through honoring her with grandkids. That sucks. I really hope this is rage bait because discovering that your mother only loves you for the potential of you possibly having a daughter so she can live out the fantasy of being like a pseudo caretaker for you is heartbreaking. Am I the asshole for not loving my son? I, male, 26, have a 7-year-old son, Jamie. Jamie was an unplanned child from a short-lived relationship. His mom and I broke up soon after he was born, and since then we have joint custody where I have him for half the month and she halves him for the other half. From the start, I never felt that instant bond people talk about. While other parents gush about their kids, I've always struggled to feel anything more than obligation. I provide financial support and make sure he has what he needs, but emotionally, I'm just blank. When Jamie was a baby, I hoped that maybe as he grew older, things would change. But now, at 7, he's a bright, energetic kid, and I still feel nothing. I go through the motions. We play, I read to him, I make sure he's fed and safe, but there's no emotional connection. I've seen therapists about this, trying to understand why I feel this way, but nothing has helped. Jamie's mom recently asked if I'd take him for a few extra weeks during the summer. She's having some personal issues and can use the break. I agreed, thinking maybe the extra time together would help build that bond, but it hasn't. If anything, the extended time has made it more apparent how detached I am. Jamie notices too. He's asked me why I don't seem happy to see him or why I don't hug him like other dads do. I don't know what to say. A few days ago, I overheard Jamie talking to his mom on the phone, asking if I loved him. She assured him that I did, but the guilt is eating me alive because I don't feel it. My friends and family say I'm doing the right thing by providing for him and being present, but is that enough? Am I the asshole for not feeling any emotions towards my son, despite trying everything to change that? Fuck, man, this is just sad. I don't think he's the devil or the asshole in this situation. I mean, it's depressing, it's sad, and the son is going to have a lot of just... He's the biggest victim in all of this, but the dad, he's not the devil or an asshole in this because he's actively trying to figure out what's going on. He's been to therapy, he's talking with people, and even though he doesn't have that kind of connection or bond, he's still trying to be there in every way he can, but... Damn, dude. Fuck. I don't even know what to say in this circumstance because he's not a bad person. He's just... His emotions are fucked. And that doesn't make him evil or the devil. He knows what's going on, and he wants to be there for his son, but he just... Dude... This one really hurts because this is a fear of mine that if I do become a father in the future, that I would have a similar issue with it. It is a genuine fear of mine because there's the whole thing of parents, when they have their children, they don't have that kind of bond or attachment, and there's always the question of why and what's wrong with them, and that's a genuine fear of mine. And hearing this kind of story here, I can tell by the way it's written that he hates himself for this. But even without having that emotional connection, he is still doing more for his son than most parents would in this circumstance, and that's good. But I don't know what he could do. I don't know what the best option is. I don't think most people know what the best option is. Am I the asshole for saying you should invest in our future and not shoes? That is the title, that is not me misspeaking. I've been dating my girlfriend Sammy for 6 months and found her mom's birthday present ridiculous. Sammy has a different taste in clothes and goes for an edgier look. We've talked about getting a place together or moving in together. She had a small birthday party and her mom got her ballerina flats, which cost over $1,000. I asked my girlfriend if she could ask her mom to invest in her future instead, or maybe return the shoes for cash for our apartment. Sammy said her mom likes to get her nice things, and it's just a pair of shoes, and it would be tacky to ask for a specific gift. I told her I was being practical about our finances, and she told me to be useful with mine and leave her family finances alone because it's not my business. I tried talking to her again about the shoes, and she opened her apartment door and then told me to be poor someplace else. This was out of character for her. This was out of character for her, so I left to let her sort her emotions out. Later that day, she had all the stuff I kept in her apartment delivered by Uber packages and hadn't responded to my text. I thought I was practical and wanted her to invest money in our future and not shoes. So, if the girlfriend was financially irresponsible and barely making rent and went out of her way and bought $1,000 shoes, that's one thing. But a birthday present from her mother? That is an entirely different story and you have no right to step in there. Like, seriously, dude. I don't think I've ever seen a post where someone gets broken up with in real time. That's pretty impressive. And yet, she has every right to do so, because that was kind of gross, dude. Like, again, if she had spent her money on that and money was extremely tight, that's one thing. But her mother doing a nice thing for her daughter, just for her birthday, and you being like, well, that money could be better spent on our future. The "our future" is a key word there, buddy. And this is coming from someone who thinks that buying expensive clothing is kind of a waste of money. I don't personally understand fashion, but at the same time, I play Warhammer 40k, so I got no place to talk. We all have our hobbies and things that we enjoy that can get a little pricey, and in this specific case, her mother got her something very nice, and it would be really disrespectful for her to then sell those shoes or give them back and ask for the value in cash instead. Am I the asshole for moving in my partner? So I, 39 male, am in a predicament, and I honestly don't know if I'm in the wrong. I have a job that requires me to travel a lot for work. I also have a daughter, 9 female, and this means that I'm away from her for long stretches of time. On one of my trips away, my wife died very suddenly of an aneurysm. It was a very traumatic event for everyone, but especially my daughter. She was 6 at the time and was alone in the house with my wife's body for a day before her sister visited and found them. I got a frantic call from my wife's sister, but because the circumstances of everything at the time, I couldn't get home for a week. I regret this immensely looking back. My daughter was extremely fragile and didn't understand what was happening, just that her mom was gone and daddy wasn't there. She was bounced between family members until I finally got home. I say all of this to explain that my daughter has been incredibly clingy since then and thus may not be reacting appropriately. Oh boy. On one of my more recent business trips, I was reunited with one of my dear friends from college, Sam, 37 male. Sam and I were admittedly very close and had a few flings in college. Seeing him again reignited everything, and for the first time since my wife died, I genuinely feel happy and loved. On my business trip, we got together. I also learned that he's not doing very well financially, and he's trying to find a place to stay. It was admittedly fast, but I just felt so much joy with him. that I immediately invited him to move into my home. When we came back together though, my daughter became very upset, shouting about how I'm replacing her mother, which is not my intention at all. She also said she doesn't want Sam in the house. I told her that it was my decision and that Sam was staying. However, since then, my daughter's nanny has been noticeably colder towards me, and my late wife's family has also come out of the woodwork to tell me that I'm wrong. My family, however, are happy for me and think that I deserve to have the happiness Sam gives me. So Reddit, am I the asshole? This is a lot to unpack, holy hell. First of all, the fact that you immediately didn't come home when your wife died from a business trip, that's... Dude. I know that you mentioned that you regret it immensely, but my guy. Yeah, your daughter is definitely going to be clingy after that because her mother died while you were gone and she had to basically be bounced from family member to family member without her actual parents around and not being able to understand what was going on. Like, there's nothing wrong with you 3 years later moving on and, you know, finding someone who you love and are willing to move forward with, but the problem comes down to is you just showed up with Sam. No preparation for your daughter. No kind of like get to know Sam period. Just, hey, Sam's living with us now. Yeah, your daughter is gonna feel like her mom is being replaced. I'm happy you got Sam in your life, but you are definitely moving way too fast. And yeah, you deserve happiness, but the thing is, so does your daughter. And as the parent, you need to put your daughter's needs first because you made the choice to have your daughter. Your daughter is in your life. I am happy that you have a nanny for her, but at the same time, you need to make sure that your daughter is living a fulfilling life and you can't just be dropping these random changes. She's already gone through a lot. And yeah, it sucks that Sam is in a rough position, but so is your daughter. To me, it sounds like you gotta pump the brakes and have a serious conversation with your daughter and probably take her to therapy, my man. I'd also be really curious to see what y'all have to say in the comments because this is a fucking train wreck if I'm gonna be honest. Am I the asshole for not giving my daughter a car for her 16th birthday and cutting her off financially? I, 48 male, have a daughter Lisa, 15 female from my first marriage. I'm not on particularly good terms with her mother, and Lisa unfortunately became an outlet for her resentment towards me, which ended up souring our relationship massively. Lisa is a good person, but unfortunately, she takes after her mom in terms of demeanor and often acts rude and entitled. A few years ago, I married again. Lisa decided to not attend my wedding, and she said a bunch of hurtful things to my then-fiancée Rosemary, 38 female. Since then, our relationship got even worse. When Rosemary and I welcomed our son a year and a half ago, Lisa sent me a text saying that since I have my perfect baby now, I could stop pestering her and trying to play family with her. It hurt me deeply, and I ended up distancing myself from her, though I kept sending her $100 a month as her allowance. Recently, we had an unplanned addition to our family. Long story short, Rosemary's sister, who wasn't a good parent to start with, terminated her custody rights over her son Blake, 17 male. Rosemary and I decided to take Blake in. Unfortunately, a few years ago, Blake got in a horrible car wreck that left him permanently disabled. Luckily, he can somewhat walk and doesn't need 24/7 assistance around the house, but that's about it. Blake is an amazing person, and he quickly became part of our family. I decided to give the $100 allowance to Blake instead. He was beyond happy and grateful. I also made a hard decision and gave him my car. It's a 2022 Cadillac Escalade, and I was planning on getting rid of it this year anyway since Lisa is turning 16 in a month and I wanted to gift it to Lisa. Now it's Blake's car, and he absolutely loves it. I'm sure he fucking does. It's a $70,000+ car. Some of the trim options range up to $120,000. He really needs a car because his mobility issues don't let him get around easily anymore, and it changed his life massively. Of course, Lisa didn't like it. When she realized that she wasn't getting any allowance, she called me and asked what's wrong. It was the first call I received from her in a year, if not more. I explained that now, when my family had expanded, I'm not having enough money. I'll still be sending her mom the child support payments as per court agreement, but she shouldn't expect anything extra. She asked me about the car since she knew about my plans on giving her a car. I told her that now the situation changed and I no longer could give her a car. I'll admit, what I said was probably asshole-ish of me since I told her that I now have 2 children to play family with and asked her to stop pestering me. This caused her to blow up completely to the point she got her mom to call me and scream at me, and so did her new husband. They threatened to sue me. Lisa said she'll go no contact and so on. I just brushed off the threats, especially since Rosemary is a lawyer and I made my peace with poor contact with Lisa years ago. They also managed to write a few mean things to Rosemary and Blake, and this is what got me wondering whether I was an asshole here. I think in this situation, before we read some comments, I think everyone in this particular instance is the asshole. The father's going back on his word, which is definitely harmful, and I assume there's probably a longer history of him doing this, which caused the no contact in the first place, and the daughter definitely is entitled. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I do feel like there's a lot of history that we're missing out on this, but the daughter was made promises by her father, even how strained the relationships are, and the father went back on his promise. But the father does have a good reason too, and it's the fact that his daughter doesn't seem to actually love him beyond the monetary value he can provide, which probably is pretty frustrating and depressing. But then again, there's also the fact that he gave Blake, someone he barely knows, a $70,000+ car. I mean, who knows what kind of options were on that, and even at the lower end of it, if it's 70 grand, he could sell that and buy literally 2 fully loaded Honda Civics for both of the kids and call it good. The dad is definitely an asshole in this situation, but he is not the only asshole in this situation. Granted, we are comparing a 48-year-old man to a 15-year-old. But let's take a look at some comments, and these have been grabbed by sadly the worst, the common goat of AmITheDevil. Copied verbatim from OP's comments. My impulse is to jump on the "you're the asshole" train, because I mean, if it talks like an asshole and walks like an asshole, it's probably an asshole. But to give you the benefit of the doubt, before I rush to judgment, info 1. What was the nature of your divorce from Lisa's mother? Was there an incident that led to the split, or any kind of scenario where one of you was at fault more so than the other? 2. What kind of efforts did you make to be present for Lisa as a parent after the divorce? You say your relationship soured, but what does that mean exactly? 1. We didn't get along well. She was very controlling and very demanding. I was wildly in love with her at first, but as her demands grew, my love was progressively decreasing. Basically, I was her personal ATM that she could tell what to do. I wasn't allowed to go out with friends, staying late working, going on fishing trips, etc. It ended up escalating so bad that I said enough and brought up divorce. Lisa was 7 at the time. I got visitation as ruled by court. I was spending time with her, taking her on trips. I took her to Disney for her 10th birthday. We tried family therapy, but it didn't end well since her mom was constantly changing therapists and made it clear that I had no say in the situation. And in response to the relationship souring, apparently that happened when she realized when she wasn't getting any allowance. Info. Does this mean you didn't sit down and explain the change to her and just let her discover it when the money didn't show up? I just let her discover it. She refused meeting with me ever since my wedding. She ignored my texts and calls. She just put my number on mute because my calls didn't go through. After the "please stop pestering me" message, I only pestered her twice. Sent her a Christmas card and an extra $200 and a birthday card for when she turned 15 with the extra $500 again. You can legally enforce a custody agreement. Why didn't you? Lisa made it clear that she didn't want anything to do with me. She didn't want spending time with me or just talking, both in person and over the phone, and just saw me as her personal piggy bank. She proved that when she reached out only when she didn't get her monthly $100. I'm not mad at her or anything, even though what she said to me back then did hurt, and it took a while to recover from the realization that my own daughter resents me that bad. I just made it clear that her ATM is out of service. So, you're getting rid of a 2-year-old Escalade and are in a financial position to gift it, but you can only afford to give one kid $100 a month as allowance. Are you paying child support? Obviously, you're the asshole, but this sounds like such a fake and poorly written story. It's not even funny. I am paying child support, yes. I can afford the $100 month allowance for both my children, but I also have a toddler now, and now when Blake moved in, it takes slightly more money to maintain our lifestyle, so I had to cut on some expenses. Oh, found you in the comments. Info, did you cheat on your first wife with your second wife? No, I met Rosemary around 5 years after divorced my first wife. At first, she was getting along with Lisa very well, but after Lisa's mom started talking trash about her to Lisa, Lisa started getting progressively meaner to her and eventually refused meeting with Rosemary at all. I am definitely going to love the audience feedback on this one because I'm in a weird boat here where I feel like it's either rage bait or we're missing a lot to the story. if it is exactly as the father told, which I doubt, I feel like he does have some justification for being upset with his daughter. However, I feel like there's more to the story as to why his daughter might be distant, and I also feel that she probably feels like she's being replaced by other members of his new family, which is why she doesn't really want the contact. I mean, Blake got the car, his focus is on the new toddler, he's basically moved on in his life. I know that some people in the comments are definitely going to be siding with the father that the daughter is being entitled and is not deserving of the kind of care and support that her father is previously offered beyond what is court-ordered, and there probably will also be people who are like, wait, hold on, the father is willing to give away like a $100,000 car to a kid that he just met for reasons, but not aid his own daughter? Yeah, I'm really curious to throw this all to you guys. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code OZ at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.